This is Jennifer Gonzalez welcoming you to episode 219 of the Cult of Pedagogy podcast. In this episode, we will look at 8 ed tech tools you should check out in 2024. Well, it's January, and that means it's the time when I put out a new edition of my Teacher's Guide to Tech. This is now the 10th edition of the guide. And as always, because it keeps improving, I'm going to say this is the best edition yet. The word for this year's guide is artificial intelligence. Yes, we added 85 new tools to the guide, and we did the incredibly hard work of pulling out everything that has aged poorly over the last year. Dead links, old videos, entire platforms that have called it quits, so it's all fresh and up to date. But probably the most noticeable difference is that there is a running theme of AI throughout the guide. First, there is a 9-page spread devoted entirely to artificial intelligence, digging into how it works, what teachers are concerned about, some really good places to go learn more, and 12 tools whose primary function is leveraging the power of AI. In addition to that, we went through the rest of the guide and put a little AI icon on every single tool that uses AI in some way. So you can see whether the tools you already know and love have started to take advantage of what artificial intelligence has to offer. And when I say we, I'm talking about me and my incredible team of tech specialists who help me with the guide every year. Marnie Diem, Brandie Wright, Lucia Hassell, and Darche. All of whom work full-time in schools and have tech in their hands every day. And in this episode, they are going to join me to talk about 8 tools we think you should take a look at. Not 6 tools, 8. I'll explain in a minute. First, let me thank WeVideo for sponsoring this episode. Create dynamic interactive videos with WeVideo, the collaborative cloud-based multimedia platform designed to maximize learner engagement, retention, and performance. WeVideo's multimedia tools are used by millions of educators and students to build critical thinking, collaboration, creativity, and communication skills. And with pre-made, standards-aligned video projects from WeVideo's Assignment Ideas Library, it's never been easier to introduce multimedia into your curriculum. Start your free WeVideo trial today and experience the power of video learning firsthand. Visit cultofpedagogy.com/WeVideo to learn more. Support also comes from the Modern Classrooms Project, which empowers educators to meet every student's needs. Created by educators for educators, the Modern Classrooms Project can help you create your own instructional videos, design structures to support self-paced learning, and ensure that each of your students achieves mastery. Join their free online course to learn the basics or sign up for their virtual mentorship program, where their experts will prepare you to launch a modern classroom of your own. If you're ready to transform teaching, visit modernclassrooms.org to start learning now. Okay, let's get into the tools. So in the past, we've always chosen just 6 tools to feature at the start of every year, but this year we're doing 8 because 3 of them are kind of sharing a spot. They are all AI-based tools, all brand new to the guide this year, and I'll be honest, all 3 of them do pretty similar things, but because this is such a new field, we're having trouble picking just one. So rather than try to choose just one, we're going to talk about all 3 and let you decide which one you want to try or if you want to try all of them. So we'll start with these 3, Magic School, DifIT, and EduAid. All 3 are AI platforms designed specifically to help teachers do their work more efficiently. What I think is really valuable about this next section is that the conversation is not just the tools, but what we talk about, the conversation I have with Marnie and Brandie about how people can use them. If you're not at all interested in AI and you want to jump to the remaining 5 tools, go ahead and fast forward about 30 minutes and that'll take you to the rest. So the first of the 3 AI tools, Magic School, is kind of an all-in-one platform that can do a whole bunch of teaching-related tasks for you. Here's Marnie to tell us all about it. Marnie, we're going to talk about Magic School. Let's start with the URL.
The Magic School URL is app.magicschool.ai,
Okay.
or if you search it, it's just magicschool.ai,
Oh,
and once you log in, it goes to the direct app website.
okay. And what is Magic School? You're telling me that you've been hearing about this at every conference that you've been going to, that they keep talking about it. So, what is it?
Magic School is a teacher's favorite assistant. It's like having a personal assistant with you in the classroom for probably 80% of your teacher tasks. Because AI, as cool as it is and as scary as it is, it will never replace the teacher.
Right.
There's no way AI can ever replace the student teacher relationships, that human piece. But
Mm-hmm.
AI can do a lot of planning for you. It can create parent emails, it can draft newsletters, or at least Magic School AI can.
Mm.
So when you log into Magic School, there are probably 35 different ways that you can use Magic School, from creating multiple choice assessments and lesson plans to, and this, I went down the wormhole of playing with their song generator, where
Mm.
you put in content information that you want and the song you want it to be written to, and it will generate a song for you.
Wow. That's one of my
Yes.
favorite teaching strategies, is
I
turning stuff into a song. Yeah.
I used to do that. I used to have my kids write songs for reviews after units were done, and it will do
Wow.
that for you, which again, good or bad, but it's great as a teacher because that saves you time and gives you more time to actually be interacting with your students when you're
Yeah.
spending when all of those administrative tasks can be taken care of. So one of my favorite things about Magic School is its rubric generator. And
Mm.
that's just one of the many tools that Magic School has. And I've used this with my staff. When you are a teacher and you're creating a rubric, that can take a good couple hours to generate a really good rubric.
Mm-hmm.
With Magic School's rubric generator, you put in your criteria, and in about 30 seconds, you have a decent rubric that you then use that human piece, because anything we create with AI is never always ready. It's never automatically ready. We still have to put our touch on it. And then you
Mm-hmm.
can spend 15 minutes generating that rubric, modifying it to what you need instead of 2 hours creating it.
Right.
So
It'll
it
get you
just
way ahead, basically.
Yes. The other thing that's really nice about Magic School is because there's so many ways to use it, it has a filtering system at the top. So if you're in Magic School, the default is it shows you all of the options on how to use it, and that can feel overwhelming. But
Okay.
you can click on planning, and it only shows you the 10 ways that you can use it for planning. So group work generator, generate science labs, create a syllabus, Jeopardy review games, exemplars, project based learning. And the one that I've used the most is the lesson plan generator, because it helps me when I need to generate a framework for an activity.
Mm.
So if you click on it, you again choose the grade level, then you
Mm-hmm.
can actually paste in your standard. So if you know what standard you're using, if you're
Mm-hmm.
using Common Core or NGSS, or you can type in the topic, and then you can add any additional information. So one of the things that I always try and add is add a hands-on component, add an interactive component.
Mm.
And then you click generate, and there you go. You've got a great start for creating a lesson.
Wow. Okay. Um, Price.
Currently free, and
Okay.
a good there's a really good amount of use. Oh, I forgot to mention one of the nice things that also sets Magic School apart is
Mm-hmm.
they have a built-in chatbot, Raina. So once you've generated something, you can ask Raina to change something or add something. So it almost has like that Chat GPT addition that you can take the lesson or activity or email, because if you choose the communication tab when you're
Mm-hmm.
in Magic School, it will give you the 10 or 12 different communication tools that it can help you with.
Wow.
So, generating a professional email, generating a family email, creating a thank you note, report card comments, summarizing text, all of the things in the communication. It also has a great IEP generator.
I was just about to ask, because I'm thinking, who has the most paperwork? It is the special ed
Yes.
teacher. And so is there's stuff to help them with that?
There's an IEP generator and a building intervention plan generator. And again,
Wow.
those are things that you have to do the legwork and put in the content and the criteria. And
Yes.
when you get it back, it's not automatically ready to go, but
Right.
it gives you that really good start.
Yes.
Once Magic School goes behind a paywall, I believe, and as of this recording, I think that you still have fully featured access. You just have a limited number of uses per month.
Okay. Okay. And just like
Which,
everything, I'm sure eventually they're going to end up with, little free versions and everything, but it doesn't hurt to give it a try right now anyway.
yes, and
Okay.
it's just, I love the communication tools are one of my favorites to play with because situations come up in schools, and to craft that perfect email so you're staying, in your teacher mode, but you're addressing maybe a tricky subject or something that happened on the playground in elementary school. It takes and almost takes the emotion out of it for you
Mhm.
and gives you that nice, clean email that gets the point across, is professional, and then you put your voice into it. And you've got something that's really helpful that might have taken 2 hours without something like this.
Right, right. I mean, I can especially think for a new teacher who just doesn't know what these things look like, it would at least give them something to start with instead of just trying to come up with ideas from scratch.
One of the things I really like in Magic School is it's got this real world connections option. So
Mhm.
you can paste in your topic or standard, choose your grade level, or type in your subject and it will create. And it creates everything in real world scenarios. So it makes things more real for the kids. And you can put in things like
Mm.
use these names and list 5 names, use these names in your examples so you can personalize it to your classroom.
Mhm. Mm.
Or you can put in if there's an event happening in your community, so you want it to generate something that's close to your community. That real
Yeah.
world connections is really cool.
Wow. That's great, and that I guess that can be changed and updated as every year goes by
As
or
you need
something.
it.
How neat. Okay, so that's magicschool.ai. Next, we'll hear from Marnie again about Diffit, which is an incredible tool for differentiation. Also, apologies for the dog barking in the background. Marnie, let's talk about Diffit. Let's start by giving people the URL so how they can find it.
Currently, Diffit is at beta.diffit.me, but it is
Okay.
coming out of beta very soon. And I'm guessing, educated guess, that the website will be diffit.me.
Okay. It's funny because what I'm looking at right now says web.diffit.me. So I guess there's a few different ways to get to it.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. So it's Diffit. And what is Diffit?
Diffit is the coolest tool I have found in a very long time when it comes to generating content or creating content for students. And my guess is the name Diffit came from the fact that you can differentiate the content for any reading level.
Okay.
So Diffit says that they have 3 ways to use it, but the reality is there's 5. The
Okay.
first way you can use it is where there's something called literally anything, and it's an AI generator where you can type in any topic.
Hmm.
So I've been playing around with hybrid dog breeds because I have a hybrid dog.
Hmm.
And so you type in the topic and then you choose a reading level and a language. So that's one of the things that sets Diffit apart, is the fact that there are over 60 languages you can translate or create in. So if you're a teacher and you have ELL students from anywhere in the country, anywhere on the globe, really,
Mm.
you can translate into their native language, which I think is fantastic, especially if you're a teacher who wants to get comprehension and not just their skills in reading English. So if
Hmm.
you're doing a comprehension activity, you could print it out or share it with a child that speaks a different language in their native language so you can get their comprehension level. And I know the thought is, well, I can't read that language. How do I know if they answered it correctly?
Mm.
It gives you an answer key, at least for the multiple choice,
Okay.
which leads me into saying, once you've generated the article and you've chosen your reading level and your language, it gives you this fantastic piece of text that you can use with your students. It gives you the article or the passage, whatever that is. Then it gives you a 3 to 5 sentence summary of the passage. Then it gives you a list of vocabulary words. Then it gives you multiple choice questions. Then it provides short answer questions and open answer questions.
Okay.
And all of this takes under 30 seconds to generate.
Okay. And you can do this because the first thing I thought of when you told me about this tool was Newsela, because Newsela has been taking existing pieces of text and then they re-level them manually, basically. And so
Yes.
here's an example of AI taking over. And AI, this is actually creating the content and then leveling it and also translating it into other languages.
Yes.
So you can have the same sort of article, I guess, on a topic, give it to your whole class in all these different forms, depending on what their needs are. And it's really true differentiation for their levels. Okay.
And when you play with it, you look at a reading level, at a second grade reading level, and the content is the same, but they structure it in such a way that the sentence structures, the vocabulary, all of that, when you jump it up to, say, a 9th grade reading level, it's the same basic content in a way that will meet each student where they are.
Okay.
And that's only one way to use it.
Okay.
The next section is an article or video. So you can paste a URL or a YouTube link, and it does the same thing. It will take that article that you've done, and I played with this with a colleague with a New York Times article that he wanted to use with his 7th graders, which was clearly, as New York Times level, way above what they were capable of comprehending. So we took it and fed it into Diffit and chose the reading level, and it gave us back the article in a way that those kids could read. So it regenerates the article similar to what Newsela did, or does, I should say. And the difference between when you use an article or video is you can choose the length of the passage. So you can choose it to be short, where they'll give you 3 paragraphs, even if the article is 5 pages, or you can choose it to be original length.
Okay. I got a quick question on this. Is there any kind of concern about like a copyright issue? If I'm taking I know New York Times is definitely behind a paywall. Like,
yes.
Are we stealing their content when we do that?
That's a great question. And I think that's one of the questions with AI in general is how is the copyright infringement or copyright usage? I am not 100% sure. We'd have to research this. But when articles like that are used for educational purposes, there is some sort of, I think there's some sort of rule where it's, if you're using it not for profit and you're not using it as a blog or something to promote yourself, if you're using it within a closed classroom,
it's more of a fair use kind of a thing.
Yes, exactly. Thank you for that word.
Okay.
So you can do, so the first way is literally anything where AI generates. The second way is with a link to a website or an article or a YouTube video. It takes the YouTube video and it uses the transcripts in the YouTube video and creates the reading passage, the summary, the vocabulary, and the questions. It does the same thing.
Okay.
The fourth way is if you already have text. So I already have a passage that I've used for years that I want to use with my students, but I want more from it. So I can paste that text in and it will create the summary, the vocabulary, the short answer or the multiple choice, the short answer, and the open-ended. And with that, you have the option of keeping the reading level where it is. Or if you're teaching and now we just have such a different span of students in our classes, you can take that passage that you've been using and it's a perfect 5th grade reading level, but you have a couple advanced students, so you can bump it up to a 7th grade reading level or drop it down to a 3rd grade reading level.
Wow.
It adjusts it.
Okay.
And the 5th way, even though Diffit says 3, they've got 3 categories, is you can take a PDF and upload the PDF and it will do the same thing that it does in creation and with links and articles.
Okay.
The thing with the PDF is on the free version, and Diffit is mostly free. They're coming up with a paid platform. And when you look at the differences, the biggest difference that there is on the free version, you're limited to a PDF with 2,500 words. And on the paid version, you have 10,000 words.
So I was going to ask you about price. The free and paid version, is it you gave me these 5 different things. Like, can you still do the literally everything, or it's the
Yes.
only limit has to do with your amount of text that you feed into it?
Correct.
Okay.
It's pretty. And then the feature that I don't think I've touched on is when you're done with what you've generated, you
Mm-hmm.
can choose to export it into an almost student ready activity. So you can export it as a PDF or a Google Doc or a Word
Mm-hmm.
doc, but
Mm-hmm.
you can also export it into workbooks or activities where it breaks the article down into sections and it creates an interactive workbook for students. And I
This
say
must be
it's
what I'm looking at right now. I'm looking at the site and I can see Frayer model vocabulary, hexagonal thinking, Google Forms quiz, like all kinds of different outputs basically based on this passage.
Yes, based on what it's created.
Okay.
And I
Wow.
say almost ready because I feel like with AI, anything you create or generate in AI needs to be read through carefully and needs to be adjusted as you need to customize it.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I was going to ask you, there is always the chance that it's going to be inaccurate or whatever. So when you get this passage that they create for you, can you go in and make any changes or edits to it, or do you
You
just have to stick with what they give you?
No, I'm glad you asked. You absolutely can go in and edit
Okay.
anything. So you can change or add vocabulary words. You can change or add multiple choice questions, short answer questions. And when it comes to the open ended questions, you can choose the different depth of knowledge. So you can say you want more level 1 DOK or level 3 DOK.
Mm-hmm.
You can edit that. And then the export of that, once you've exported it, if you're exporting it into Google Slides or Google Docs, you have further edit capabilities.
Oh,
The
wow.
other thing about this, which helps prevent the hallucinations that AI comes up with, is it cites its sources. So you can choose to have the sources
Mm.
showing in the text that it creates, or you can choose to have them hidden. But it does cite its sources with clickable links so you can go and verify what has been created.
Wow. So if I'm like if I just got hired at a school and I'm like, crap, I've got to teach about cell formations, like cell structures. I don't have any materials. I can go in and say, write me a passage about, the parts of a cell. And I can do that along with other activities, just like ready to go.
Yes. And the other difference between when it's behind the paywall to the free version is your exports are limited.
Okay.
The variety of export options you have is limited. But the
Okay.
platform itself is still fully featured. And
Okay.
as of today, as of the time that we're doing this recording, when you sign up for Diffit, you get 60 days of their premium features free.
Okay.
So it's a
Okay.
nice way to try it.
Okay. Really cool. Anything else you want to say about Diffit before we switch?
I really appreciate that with Diffit, they have the language accessibility because we have so many English language learners in our schools
Mm-hmm.
and they have such a variety of languages and they're adding more as they can. It's a
Mm.
nice way to set this tool apart from other tools.
The final AI tool is brought to us by Brandie, and this one looks pretty similar to Magic School. It's called EduAid. Okay, Brandie, we are going to talk about EduAid. Tell me all about that.
EduAid is my new favorite AI tool this year. So, with all of the other tools that are coming out, when I looked at EduAid, I love the options that it gave me as a fairly new teacher, that I could take something I was already doing, like just a topic, a basic topic, like animal adaptations. I could type that in and say what grade level I want, and then
Mm-hmm.
what kind of resources am I looking for? Am I
Mm-hmm.
looking for independent practice? Am I looking for gamification? Am I looking for, all these different things? But then it allows me to basically build these little segments. So I can say, yes, I'd like to start off. Can you give me, something to start them off in the beginning? And then can you also add independent practice? And then can you also add this? And then it puts it all nice and neat for me to the right. And then I can take that entire thing and then work.
Okay.
So that was the first thing that drew me, was
Hmm.
the ease of building these different pieces of my lesson or of my day or my unit plan.
Is it so when you say it's giving you that, is it giving you actual like text or lecture notes or something to teach about it?
Absolutely. So
Okay.
it gives me something as simple as, when I put in even targets or standards, it will say, okay, I can ask for the 5 E's, and it's going to tell me each one exactly. I could literally take it and run with it if I
Mhm.
so choose, or most of the time I copy it and I paste it into a Google Doc, and then I go in and kind of make my changes. So I love using it for vocabulary. So for my kids right now, we're really focusing on enhancing their vocabulary and supporting their vocabulary. So I'll go in and it will give me sentence stems to help them practice. So I'll tell them, here's some sentence stems from, and I have gotten it from EduAid. And then I'll ask
Mhm.
them, now you write your own sentence. It'll even
Mm.
give me a writing passage for them to read. And then it gives questions, discussion questions for them to answer. So yeah, it literally gives you exactly what you need to walk away from it and work.
Okay. Also, we forgot to mention the URL. It's eduaid.ai. So eduaide.ai.
Mhm.
Um, what else do you like about it? One of the things we're going to talk about is the fact that we are also featuring this year Magic School and Diffit, which are
Mhm.
also sort of rising in the ranks of these teacher helper tools. And, I wanted to talk to you about how do we differentiate? What do you really like about EduAid? Why was that your pick?
Absolutely. So, one of the other options that they give you that I really love. So, as a STEM educator and the class that I teach, I'm always looking for ways to insert project based learning or STEM projects. And one of the options is cooperative learning. So,
Mm.
again, I can have that same prompt in there telling them what my topic is, what the standards are. And then I can say, give me some STEM projects. And it
Mm.
literally did that. I'd use that for, again, animal adaptations, our most recent topic, and I told it for fifth grade. So then it gave me a list of different STEM projects that they could do around this topic, and then I get to choose. So,
Mm.
and also in that same section, there are, I think, like 10 different things, team based activities. So I do a No Tech Tuesday. So I'm always looking for ways of giving them an activity that doesn't include technology. So when I looked up team
Mm.
based activities, it gave me games, it gave me, different projects for them to do, for them to build their animal adaptations, not using technology. So and again, this is just one of the four options as soon as you go to EduAid. There's
Okay.
another option for a feedback bot for you to help give feedback to your students. There's another one where you can do like an assistant if you just need a document where you're planning for a substitute. There's a substitute planner.
Oh, okay.
So see, like that is my preference. Like, so Diffit, just to compare, different definitely is very teacher facing. So it is, and it'll give you wonderful resources, for you to use, like the slides for the student activities, things like that. But it does not give the option, as far as I know yet, for something like that I'll need outside of the classroom, such as a substitute planner, something that would take us a long time to do. Or
Right.
maybe I'm teaching in higher education, or maybe I'm teaching in high school and I'm writing my new syllabus for the upcoming school year, or I have a
Mhm.
new class that I'm trying to create a syllabus around. It has a syllabus starter. Maybe I need to do a letter of recommendation, which I'm doing too right now, and so I might have a start, but I need a little help.
Right.
That's also an
Right.
eighth.
So this one definitely sounds very, very similar to Magic School.
Absolutely.
And you and I had talked about this a little bit before about, instead of trying to choose between them, we're just going to feature both of them and let people kind of make their decisions. So you definitely lean more toward EduAid because that's
Mhm.
kind of what your school started with. And you said something about the interface. So what do you personally prefer about EduAid?
I like the ease of just knowing exactly. I click on the left. It's not very busy, but it's easy to get to. And again, the building interface that Eduate has that haven't noticed. Now, I haven't used Magic School a lot, but I don't
Mhm.
notice any other tool that allows you to take multiple things that you're using from them and build
Mm.
one thing. So if that makes sense. So it's like these
Mhm.
building blocks. Most of the time you start, I know this to be true in DFID, it may be true in Magic School, where you say, okay, I need team-based activity. And it'll give it
Mhm.
to you, but then you need to copy that right away and put it in your document or save it and then start anew. Kind of like with
Mm.
ChatGPT, like where
Mhm.
you may have to start a new prompt or you'll start a new topic.
Mhm.
But when I'm in Eduade, I get once I'm in that topic, I get to say, okay, I still can choose and click around and say, add this, now add this, now add this, and it's all one,
Got it.
if that makes
It's
sense.
yes, it's funny too because I'm imagining if the people who represent these companies are listening, there's probably somebody right now going, "We do that. We do. Hold on, you just said." So like all of this should be listened to with a grain of salt. Like we're all coming at this from various different experiences. You've got a lot more experience with Eduate, so we just wanted to kind of dump all this information out there and let people kind of play around with, the two different
Absolutely.
platforms and um all right. Anything else you want us to know about Eduate, about what you really like about it?
Hmm. I also like the addition, and again, a lot of these AI topics or AI tools, they do have more than just the academic piece.
Mm,
But I really appreciated under the teaching assistant part of EduAid, the wellness section. So, like this term, we've been focusing on wellness, and that's different types of wellness, whether it's mental wellness or physical wellness or financial wellness, right? And
mm,
so they have where you again can choose the grade level that I love. So you can choose a grade level and then say, hey, I want to do a school improvement project around wellness. I want to do an SEL activity. And so maybe I'm doing a week of wellness. So again, I can say, give me, for day one, I want to do mindfulness. For then the next one, I want to do, some empathy prompts for each daily writing prompt. And
mhm,
I really love that as well. And again, some of the other tools, they may have something outside of the academic part, but
mhm,
that jumped out at me
mhm,
in Eduate and the ease of it because I do a daily writing prompt with my crew, like my homeroom. And
mhm.
so as we're focusing on wellness, I'm always looking for words to give them the definition and give them a writing prompt. And so I use Eduate, for that. And then I just change the grade level or I might change the specific topic. And it has helped me tremendously in my daily writing prompts this term.
Yeah, awesome. So one of the things that we had also talked about was that your attraction to certain platforms is also kind of based on your personal approach to AI, which you feel is might be different from the way some other teachers do it. And so, I should also mention that you present professionally about AI. So this is a world that you are steeped in, and you and I have worked extensively on the AI section. So anybody that's reading the AI section of the Tech Guide, that is almost all Brandie. So you have some opinions on sort of how people use AI. So just talk to me a little bit about what your personal approach is and what you're seeing other people do.
Sure. So I use AI as a teacher very similarly of my approach to technology. People are often surprised that I am not as tech forward or as AI forward as I would appear to be because I'm a
Mm,
tech teacher or because I'm a STEM
mhm,
teacher or because I'm an AI instructional coach. So when I go to AI, it's not my first thing. I already have something in mind and I may be short on time. Right. So we,
mhm,
as teachers, we know we just don't, there's just not enough time. And currently, my schedule, I do not have a large chunk of planning time. So I'm looking for something. I already know what I need, but I just need a little help.
mhm.
I need something to help me. And I read fast and I also can remix. What I pride myself in is remixing things. So I just need a step. I
Yeah.
really need a strong step. And so I go into it with the motive of, not that I don't know what to do and I have this time and I need you to do it for me, but that I kind of already know what I want to do. I need some more words. I need some more words and I really need a jump start. And it helps me to really take advantage of a 30-minute time frame. So
Mm,
before I start school, I have 30 minutes from 8 to 8:30 to get prepared. Now, if I didn't already do something at home or I didn't stay late the day before, then that 30 minutes is all I have. So on my way to work, I'm thinking, I need some more words. I need
yeah.
some more writing prompts, right? I'm not an English teacher. So it also allows me to take advantage of all these other contents and expertise in one click. I'm not a
Mm-hmm.
literacy teacher, I'm not a numeracy teacher, but I want a math activity, or I want an activity that includes numeracy and literacy or reading and writing on this particular topic. Can you help me? And it
Got
does,
it. Yeah.
just like that. And I don't have to spend a lot of time.
I'm seeing an emerging theme based on stuff I read, conversation I had with Marnie, conversation I'm having with you, which is that I feel like the general public gets this idea that AI is going to replace us. It's going to replace. And what I keep hearing is no, it can get you further down the field, but you as the human are the one who can check it for accuracy, check to see if it's got what you want, modify it for your own needs. And so we are working with AI, not letting AI replace us.
Absolutely 100%. It can't replace, and you do need to read. We have to do what we tell our students to do, which is to read.
Mhm.
Like I tell my
Mhm.
students all the time, you've got to read it. It doesn't matter that you typed in something in AI and it gave you this beautiful letter of recommendation. You might go in and read it and say, that's not really, you'll find something that doesn't speak like you. So
Mhm.
it's your responsibility to make it your own. And I think maybe that's also why I love it, because what I pride myself in doing is making something my own. I don't want it to look like someone else. I don't want it to be someone else's work, but it's nothing wrong with getting some help so I can get
Mhm.
help to be better, to be a better teacher
Yeah.
as Brandie, not
Yeah.
as EduAid, not as Diffit, not as Magic School, right? But it's to help me be a better Brandie.
I love that. I love that. I mean, we got to remember that AI stands for artificial intelligence. It's still artificial. Like we need our real intelligence to make it work right.
Absolutely. It
Yeah.
allows us to have access to so much information that it's just like going to a digital library. So now we don't have to go to the library. Now I don't have to go to all these different websites. It's just giving us more access just to help us more.
Next is a tool for anyone who's interested in having their students design their own websites. Lucia is here to talk to us about the website design curriculum offered by Wix Tomorrow. Okay, Lucia, tell me about Wix Tomorrow. We already know about Wix.com, the website creation tool, but you came to me this year very enthusiastic about something different that they're also doing. So it's Wix.com/tomorrow. What is that?
It is a way to empower your students in regards to learning how to do web design and web development. And the way that Wix Tomorrow does this and helps educators and students is by creating the curriculum for you if you want to teach web design to students. I think that there's a growing number of schools who are creating computer science departments in their high schools, like us at Holton. And a part of computer science is graphic design and web design. I would also say that it really falls within our 21st century job skills.
Mm-hmm.
Think about any company,
Yep.
every entrepreneur, yourself. Web
Mm-hmm.
design is a major part of your branding of yourself, and I think the world that we live in today.
Yeah,
And so,
absolutely.
what I love about this is that it is free 99, as I like to say. It's absolutely free. And if I'm logged in right now, and there are a few different units. So I can see there's the intro to Wix and web creation. And when I scroll down and look through the lessons, there's everything from what is the web to get to know the Wix editor to working with text and images, creating clickable links, designing with strips, and it gets a little more detailed, right, about how you can utilize Wix tools. Then if I look at the other units, web creation, web design, and web development, it starts to dive a little bit deeper. And these are all lessons that are meant for teachers to download and they can utilize themselves, or students can go through it through the platform.
Oh, that's great. So it can be just a self-paced thing that a student or a small group does on their own.
Yes.
Okay, that's fantastic.
When you first go to sign into Wix, it asks you, are you a student or are you a teacher?
Nice.
I even see little links here to assign these to Google Classroom and to assign it to Microsoft Teams.
Oh, great. That's great. So just a few minutes ago, you and I were looking at this. First of all, that what they're saying is that this is ideally for students ages 13 to 18. So sort of like middle and high school, right?
Correct.
But
Yes.
then we also noticed something new that neither of us had seen until just now, which is a new, looks like another sort of separate program attached to this called Creators of Tomorrow, which let me click on that and see if that's got its own separate URL. And if people are listening to this in January 2024, this seems like it's coming up soon. So what is your understanding of what this is?
So it looks like it's a challenge. They say that the challenge is designed to give young innovators the opportunity to make real world impact. And from what I can tell, it wants students to mix a combination of entrepreneurship tools and innovative mindsets to create a website. And it looks like this challenge may even go so far as to help them take their dream into a reality.
Mm-hmm. It looks like they get mentored in terms of website design stuff, but then also there's these 4 different impact areas. There's sustainable well-being, lifelong learning, equitable futures, or climate action, which is so interesting because one of our other tools that we're featuring has to do with the Sustainable Development Goals, the UN's SDGs, which kind of are so similar to this. So these can all kind of feed off of each other.
Right. And what a real, in education, we talk about authentic learning all the time. What a beautiful example of how to make students, number one, content creators, and then also for them to engage in an authentic learning experience. This is one of those projects that seems like if they go through this and they create it, they will remember the lessons from this and then also be able to apply them later on for the rest of their life.
Absolutely. I love these kinds of projects too that sort of show them their own agency in the world, where it's like, oh, I did this as a school project, but I could actually take all of those skills and know-how and keep going with it.
Right, exactly. That's one of the reasons why I'm such an advocate for making educational, skills like web design and graphic design that are they're very attainable at a young age. Like our students, as soon as they graduate, when they get into college, they could be web designers and getting paid to do those things. Yeah, creating the reality for them right now versus go to school, learn about it, and then after you graduate, you can do it. No, these students can do these skills right now.
Yes.
And, get paid for it and save that money for college.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So Wix tomorrow is wix.com/tomorrow. And then if you're interested in this creators program, which it looks like it launches in February, is just that same URL/creators. So thank you so much for introducing me to that whole platform. It's really exciting.
Yes, thank you.
Number 5 on our list is a tool especially for elementary math teachers brought to us by Kim, and it's called Semble. All right, Kim, we are going to talk about a tool called Semble. We'll start by giving people the URL. It's sembl.app, semble.app. What is Semble?
So Semble is really an incredible curation tool or creation website for really rich math tasks. So actually, Jen, I was listening to your podcast. I think it was a couple months ago, 6 months ago. Maybe?
Yeah, earlier this year. Mm-hmm.
So you had Peter Lillejal, totally butchered his name, on there. And he spoke about his research behind building thinking classrooms, which is really, he has built these toolboxes that are based on getting kids up and thinking collaboratively and working as groups on rich tasks and not letting kids hide in math class, not letting kids, just mimic what their teacher is doing, but getting their brains firing and thinking. And without a doubt, people are always like, oh, but where can I find the tasks? And I stumbled across this website called Semble, which is all of these tasks put together it has everything from number talks to problem strings to curated tasks for students, this is really geared towards grades K through 6, but I would still use some of the tasks right into 7th and 8th grade and even into the special education courses and other courses, because it's about the thinking process, not about getting the right answer.
So so when you say it's tasks, are they just like, I'm on the site now and I'm clicking, because we've actually even talked to the person in charge of it. It's just different kinds of like, is it videos? Is it
No, there are a
worksheets?
lot of slides that they have put together. So you as a teacher just need to go into the website, pull up the slide deck, and it will walk your students through step by step on how to get started on the task. And it also layers in explanations for the teachers so that they can go ahead and discuss it with fidelity to the task. So it's a starting point, a guide, but then you also get the background knowledge so that you're building number sense and deep thinking and questions that you could ask your students. And how do you bring them to come to their own conclusions instead of just giving the right answer all the time?
Got it. So is it free?
It is free. There is a subscription service that you could join to get more bells and whistles. I haven't found the need to do that because all the tasks are available completely. I've not been blocked on any that I've wanted to use. And when you go into the Creators Assemble, they are all teachers that are truly invested in rethinking the math class to align with research-based practices for students. So it's no longer just following an algorithm and I do this to get this answer right. It's much more about building their thinking, which then goes well beyond the math class.
Got it. All right. So we are looking at this layout and it almost reminds me a little bit of Pinterest, kind of, where it's just tiles. And the tiles are just different kinds of activities that I can click on.
And so like if you click on like any of them, like the slow graph reveals.
Yes, slow reveal graphs.
Yep. And you can see the launch pad. It tells you the grade levels up at the top, and then down at the bottom, it's launch, which is then a Google slide deck that you could go.
Right.
Then if you go to learn, it tells you the introduction, why it's working, and then you could see the video at the top that'll walk you through it.
Okay. So these are all basically activities that can be done. They're all web-based activities. Could you send those to students, or is this something you're putting up?
You're putting it up, project, and then the students would work pencil, paper, or, I mean, I guess you could, but it's really meant for teacher-facing students, and then they do the work. And then you could see more like this, but the learn is where the teacher's going to get the background information.
Okay. And so this is something that is I think it's new this year, is it? Yeah.
Yep.
So it's going to probably continue to grow and evolve. So anyone who is a math teacher should definitely check this out. And this would this is not a curriculum. This is a supplement to a teacher's existing stuff.
Correct. And so you can look and put in exactly what you're looking for, and it will lay out the tasks. So these would be to assist in more of the application problems than it would be to do a full lesson from.
Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing there's drop-down menus for like decimals, percentages, estimation. Then you can filter for grade level and other areas. Okay, there's geometry and but that I would imagine this is early geometry and not like a high school geometry type.
No, this goes up until 6th grade.
Okay.
And one of the new things they've just put in there is something called Nuggets, which is in the top right corner. And Nuggets, they've just started this. It's like you can pose a question to the website and one of the creators will answer it and give you like a piece of wisdom or something that you might want to put into your classroom that will help with things that you might be struggling with in your math classroom as a teacher.
So this actually gets sent to them like as an email. It says suggest a nugget, because it's funny. It's got those little AI sparkles on the button, and I'm like, oh, is this an AI thing?
No, they'll come back. Like I said, this is new. There's only one nugget there, but this is a really new website that is just, it's like all I want like you said, Pinterest is from a math brain, or like some curation or like a Wakelet where everyone has taken all of these great tools but put them in one place so that you can find them instead of doing hours and hours of your own research, trying to find the task that suits you.
Got it. Cool. We're going to definitely have people check this out if they are math teachers and really keep an eye on it because it seems like it's growing and changing already since they just started.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kim.
You're welcome.
Brandie is back for number 6 to share a platform called Upschool, which is designed to help students become change makers. Brandie, tell me about Upschool. Let's start with the URL this time. Actually, I can give you the URL because I'm looking at it. It's upschool.co, C-O, which is important for people that want to find it. When I came to you all asking you about recommendations, you were so enthusiastic about this site. So I thought, with this much passion, we've got to do this one. So tell me what Upschool is.
Yes. So I found Upschool actually within Canva. Side note, Canva is my favorite app.
It always has been. It's been your favorite for 3 years running now.
And I found it in Canva because, well, in combination, I was looking for something in my block. I teach students how to solve real world problems, how they can solve real world problems as students. And as I was looking for topics, I actually had a topic and I stumbled upon Upschool. I didn't know it was going to be in the guide. I stumbled upon it because they had these free online courses to teach you how to be more purposeful in your teaching and in learning. And I was like, oh. So I clicked on it. And then when I clicked on it, it led me to their Be the Change curriculum that was in Canva. I was, of course, super drawn to it then. So I went to Canva and they have it outlined as like a 10-week, I think it's like 10 or 12-week curriculum called Be the Change. Now, I was drawn again because I wanted to, we teach our students about how to be change makers. And as I got into the curriculum each week, which I kind of dragged it out because I add different things to it, but they gave you everything you needed, including videos to show you around the world how students are changing the world. Then this is one of many courses that they have. The Be the Change course is around the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. I had not really been privy to the 17, SDGs as we call them, right? And I kid you not, as I have gone through this curriculum, I have learned so much as I'm teaching the kids. So what they have done so seamlessly, it's beautiful. They've created these slides that have keywords every quote unquote week. I treat a week almost like a unit because it has so much into it and I can add. So they give them a change maker article that you just click on the Canva slide and it takes you to the link. They've learned about Mother Teresa, Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, like different change makers that go along with that particular week. Their goal throughout this curriculum is to lead the students into creating their own project to change the world. So we teaching them about these 17 sustainable development goals. They, by like about week 4, they should have identified 1 to 2 goals that they're personally attracted to. And then we walk them through, they learn how to do a 30-second elevator speech. Why? Because that's important for them to learn how to present their topic. There are all these stepping stones that they provided that literally, again, I just kind of go in and add a few things and I supplement, but you could literally take exactly what they've given you and teach every day, every week. And the kids love it. So Gavin, who's like the guy, he's the face of Upschool. There are these videos where he comes on and so I make it this big thing. And I'm like, let's see what Gavin wants to talk to us about today. They're familiar. They love his accent. They love what he has to say. He's showing them students from Australia, from Ghana, from all over the world that are changing the world. This is one course from Upschool, one of the many that they offer.
Wow. Is it free?
Yes.
It's built into Canva, but also its own separate platform.
So
right?
I don't know if all of their courses are in Canva. The Be the Change is in Canva, and I think there's a couple of other ones. So they just happen to partner. Like I said, when I say that, I thought it was so interesting that they were partnered with Canva being my favorite.
Yes. Yes.
tool, again, that it really drew me. And when you go to their site, you'll see their stories and you get to see, you know, the topics that they have and how interesting this is from elementary, middle, high school. I'm currently teaching this course to my middle schoolers, my 6th and 7th graders, but eventually I'm going to bring it back to the 4th and 5th graders just on a shorter scale, which they have another option that's very similar, that's for younger kids.
Nice. It's the same content, basically, just kind of
Yeah,
streamlined a little bit. Okay. And this seems like this could be curriculum that would be good in like upper elementary, or somebody who teaches like a social studies course maybe, or even like where would it fit?
absolutely. Yeah, it would definitely fit for if you're teaching STEM, if you're teaching social studies, if you're even some science things, because, and again, that's probably why I say more like STEM, because
Mhm.
it includes, we also have a class that's around passion projects, genius
Mhm.
hours, right?
Mhm.
Their courses would be perfect for like a genius hour type of course, or even a club. It really is very versatile. And
Okay.
the content, again, is so great. They've done a great job of making it student friendly. Because when you
Mm.
hear about the sustainable development goals, I remember when we first started it, I was a little nervous.
Mm.
I was thinking, gosh, is this going to be too much? Is this going to be too heavy for them? It's not. And the way they break it down, and the resources they give you, like I told you, I'm learning as I'm teaching them. And it
Mm.
has opened, really broadened my perspective. Now I'm following, the global goals on Instagram. I'm following them, seeing what they're doing around the world. And I'm able to bring in some of those resources, even to show them like, this is just not something we're learning in class. This is happening right now.
What I remember, because we've got about a section in the guide, in the global studies guide, about the SDGs, and I remember when looking at those thinking, oh wow, this is really good stuff. It's very broad in terms of all the different areas of sort of
Mhm.
human living that they cover.
Mhm.
Because you hear the word sustainable and you think, oh, it must just be environmental, but it's really not just environmental stuff at all.
Right. It's not. And also, if you on their website, they even have libraries. Like they even have some online books that you can pull up and read, or point your students to. So again, the support that they are providing, even outside of the Canva presentations, which again, unlimited, invaluable.
Yeah. Yeah.
To be able to print out, like I've done vocabulary with them, and they remember these terms.
Mm.
We go back and they're talking about these terms in other classes. They said, oh, didn't we say that persuasion? They were talking about persuasion came up in literacy. They remembered persuasion because persuasion was a key word from Be the Change. And they know when
Wow.
they can talk to any of our administrators about this topic. So again, it's the building that they've done,
Yeah.
how they built this curriculum on top of each other to where it really resonates with them in their real world.
Yeah.
They love the topics. When I asked them what they wanted to do, they love life underwater. Many of my students, they want to do the life underwater goal, or they love the
That's
no
cool.
poverty
Yeah.
goal, right? But as we're talking about them more, I actually had a student change her goal last week, because
Hmm.
once she learned more about it, she said, wait a minute, I think I want to change mine. So I love, love, love the curriculum and what they've done for my students and what they've done for me.
Ugh. I mean, this is a teacher's dream, having a curriculum that kids are actually excited about. I mean, you can't ask for anything better than that. So thank you so much for sharing this one. I'm really excited to get it out there. It's very different from anything I think we've featured in a long time.
It is. I mean, and again, it's free. I
Yeah.
was like, and I think they have, I haven't looked into this part, but I think they actually have courses also even for educators. Like it's not just about um,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
the students, right? I think there's some things in there for teachers to learn as well.
Awesome. Our seventh tool is brought to us by Lucia, a site called Flat Icon, where you and your students can pull free icons for all kinds of instructional uses. All right, Lucia, you're going to tell us about Flat Icon, and that is flaticon.com. What is this site?
Flaticon.com is a site that allows you to download free vector images that are icons. And the way I use it in education is really to help brand my course content and materials and to conceptualize ideas. I am a graphic designer at heart. So when it comes to creating my worksheets, my presentations, I like to help the visual learners who, like myself, contextualize and chunk information. So here's what that could look like. It could look like for unit 1, if I know this unit in my design tech class is all about coding, perhaps I go to flaticon.com. Let me pull it up again. And there's a search bar and I type coding or maybe the word code.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have thousands of icons that appear. And some of them have multiple colors. Some of them are black and white. I love to go for the simple black and white images because when you go to edit an icon, you can actually change the color to whatever color you want. And if you're a little type A or a little more graphic designer in you like me, then you can make it the same color as whatever your course content is. So think about branding when it comes to companies and Instagram, social media accounts, and how people brand themselves. How can you brand your lessons and your materials so students start to associate, oh, anytime I see this coding icon, that means I'm on this lesson, this unit. Think about our students who are have a different learning style and sometimes need a little extra support or hand holding to understand, like, oh, we are talking about this lesson in this unit today. We have students who, unfortunately, they sometimes are a little lost, and we can add these little features to help them just have some breadcrumbs along the way, along their learning journey, if you will. So that's one of the reasons I really love this website. It's easy to use as far as searching. Sometimes I put multiple words in the search and I get some really crafty examples of icons that I can use. I would also say that think about how we engage our students. So as a web designer, I tell my clients all the time, as soon as someone goes to your website, if they don't understand what this is about within the first 10 seconds or can't find the information that they want, you know what they're doing? They're hitting the back button and going back to Google and going to the next thing on the list. So think about that in terms of your classroom. As soon as your students look at the worksheet, are they going to check out within the first 10 seconds because they don't understand or can't find the information that they need? Is there nothing appealing that's grabbing them and pulling them in? So icons can do that for you. They can also help students associate information and chunk it based on whatever it is that you're trying to teach.
It's, it's also, it's a nice thing to throw onto a slideshow instead of using sort of meaningless graphics or something that's just there as a pretty decoration. Using a meaningful icon that they can use to sort of link a concept to can help there too.
Absolutely. And visual learners like myself, I will remember that icon before anything else. So imagine if that icon's on the presentation, and then when I get the notes from my teacher or the whether it's lecture notes or the handout, then that icon's there. Then my mind starts to associate any information that I get about this. And then let's imagine, go on another step, on the exam or quiz that I get, that icon shows up there. It's going to help my mind recall that information.
Absolutely. That's great. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, and actually I can always edit this out if I am wrong, but I could have sworn that it is free, but you have to give attribution. I think
there's a recommendation of attribution.
Okay. So, I mean, I feel like on the student facing end, this site could also be used for when students are creating their own presentations, products, or whatever it is that, they're demonstrating learning.
Yes. I'm so glad you brought that up because I actually did that in my seminar class where students, they had to create a presentation about themselves. We talked about multiple identities, and I've shared with students, like, here's the website that I used to create this icon that shows, it was an example of belonging because that was the topic that we were diving into. And I said, you can utilize this in your presentation about yourself to show us or to represent different aspects of yourself, be that your interests, your hobbies, or your identity. And they absolutely did so. And there were some who went, when I showed them how to use the hex code to change the color of the icon, they went for the gusto and they made it match their entire presentation. And it was a really beautiful way for them to get excited about their content creation that they're about to present in front of the class, but then also represent themselves.
Very nice. I love a hex code.
Yes.
Yes.
It's so funny because you guys who are listening can't see this, but if I pull this post-it up right here, there's a bunch of hex codes that I'm showing Jen. That is the Holton branding hex codes because
Yeah.
sometimes I try to fit those in whenever I'm creating materials.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the day I learned about those, I was like, oh my gosh, exact match? That's amazing. Instead of just poking around guessing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Finally, number 8. Here's Marnie again to tell us about a really unique platform designed to show us how the rest of the world lives. It's called Dollar Street. Okay, we're going to talk about Dollar Street. Marnie, what is the URL first?
So it's gapminder.org/dollar-street.
Okay.
You can also get to it just by going to gapminder.org. And then when you scroll down, one scroll, it's right there on their homepage.
Okay. So this is such an interesting project. What is Dollar Street?
Dollar Street is a comparative website where it takes the income of families across the globe and gives you a glimpse into what their lifestyle is like. It's kind of hard to describe, but in a gist, I can go to the Dollar Street website and I will see that this is what a family in Kenya looks like and lives like for $47 a month. Versus this is what a family in the Philippines lives like and looks like for $194 a month. Versus a family in Ethiopia for $623 a month. Versus a family in Denmark for $5,000 a month. So it's just one of those things that I don't even know that I can use it in my tech teaching, but I'm excited to share this with my teachers because there's limitless ways to use this tool. And when you go in deeper, so if I click on, for example, a family in Myanmar for $48 a month, once I click in there, it shows me what they use for cooking pots, what their everyday shoes are like, what their bathroom privacy is like, what kind of seasoning and spices they have, what their home is like, what their nicest shoes are. And then you compare that to a family in the United States, or you might look at a family in Somalia or Tunisia or Bolivia, and you can compare, you can see that. And it's a glimpse into a lifestyle that most people in the United States know nothing about.
It's so interesting. I'm looking at a page right now for a family in Serbia, and it's showing a street, the Google Street View of their neighborhood. I'm looking at, a typical bedroom. There's even pictures of people's teeth, like where they'll smile and show their like dental work
and their hands.
Yes,
and you can see their hands. It gives you a back view and a front view.
Yeah.
And what's really I don't know how to describe how I feel about this site because I really like it, but it's really eye-opening.
Yeah.
So one of the ways that you can disaggregate the data is you can choose, the default is families in the world by income per month. But I can click on families and instead I can say, let's look at the floors.
Okay.
And then it shows me the floors in all of these different living situations. So you look at a floor in Ethiopia for $623 a month versus $179 a month in Kenya versus $31 a month in India.
Yeah. The screen I'm looking at has $14,000 a month in France.
Wow.
This is quite a house, I guess we're looking at. So this is so interesting. I mean, you could get lost for hours on this site, but I could see it being so interesting for somebody who teaches history, social studies, like world stuff, or even like we're going to put a link to it even in our financial literacy section for kids to start understanding, like, this is what it costs you to live here, but if you lived in this other country. And it is so eye-opening too, because I don't know that I would have thought of Colombia as an expensive place to live,
right?
But my goodness, yes.
One of the things that I found super interesting is when you go to the all topics, I looked at salt. because we think of salt
wow.
as a basic, like, what's the big deal? It's salt.
Why would that be its own category? Yeah.
But when I dove into it, it shows you the way people store their salt across the globe and additional spices that they would keep in their house. Because I guess salt is a basic spice that everyone has access to. Whereas the wealthier you are, the more availability you have in a variety of spices.
Yeah.
It's just fascinating.
This is so fascinating. You can also just click like a single country. So I guess I could
Yes.
click United States, and then I can just be looking at just how diverse things are within our own country, right?
And what you can also do, which is a way that I can see, so our second graders study communities, is you can choose a handful of communities and then you can create your own album. So you can create a more focused way to explore this with your students based on their age and what you want them exposed to. So I could choose different places in the United States, or I could choose, like, we're in North America, I could have United States, Canada, Mexico,
Yeah.
and just show students what different families live like. I could choose the same income range, even just, you can create your own custom album so that you can use it as a teaching tool that is more specific to what you need versus, like you said, we could get lost for hours in this site.
Creating that album could also be an assignment for every single student to do, correct? Like
I love that.
Where they have to research something and create a final product as one of these albums. Man, that's so neat.
It's crazy. And when you look at like washing hands or biggest dream, like some families, their biggest dream is to, buy a pair of new shoes. And some families' biggest dream is to have a swimming pool in their backyard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everything in between, and soaps and power outlets. It's
wow. Fascinating. This sort of reminds me of, I chose GeoGuessr a couple years ago as my favorite tool. And same thing, I could get lost, but this is so much richer in detail that, I love this. I'm so glad that you're picking this as a recommendation, because getting more people's eyes on this site is just really great. And what the video that we're linking to for it is the TED Talk of the woman who created it. And she's talking about what motivated her to do that. So it's a really neat project.
Yes. And there always, if you read deeply into the website, there are ways that you can, if you're a photographer, if you're a traveler, if your partner, someone, they're continuing to grow this website with different families from across the globe.
I love that. Thank you again to Lucia, Kim, Brandie, and Marnie for sharing your expertise and for your amazing support in putting together the guide. Again, the Teacher's Guide to Tech is on sale now at teachersguidetotech.com. For more information about these tools and the guide, visit cultofpedagogy.com, click podcast, and choose episode 219. To get a bi-monthly email from me about my newest blog posts, podcast episodes, courses, and products, sign up for my mailing list at cultofpedagogy.com/subscribe. Thanks so much for listening, and have a great day.